So Nancy, we want to clarify a point that we were clarifying. So basically, Granddad came back
During the war.
During the war, you met in California, and then he went to this small fishing town in Maryland for a year.
That's right.
Before you went to Annapolis.
That is several years later when he came back. He was gone another year.
Wait, no.
But he came back after the war was over, you see. That was what I was talking about, going to Annapolis and everything. I got mixed up. I forgot he came back for a year.
So after that town in Maryland, the fishing town in Maryland, he went back out to the South Pacific? And then the war ended while he was there in the South Pacific?
Well, he was in the Pacific, then he went on to the South Pacific.
So the war ended when he was in the Pacific?
Mm-hmm.
And then you guys went back together to Annapolis?
Yes, but in between time we had this year, almost a year, but not quite, in Maryland, which I sort of forgot. He came during the war, and he was training. He was one that was chosen to train these people to these new vessels that they had. They were ships that were planning to go ashore in Japan eventually. This is the type of a ship it was. I've forgotten what it's called. It had a name, but I can't remember now. But they went out and on a Monday and would come back on a Friday, almost on a regular basis. We had this, first we lived in a farmhouse that the woman had, a huge farmhouse. And she had three Navy couples in one floor there. We were on the top floor. And two on the floor sheet, and her husband lived on. And then one on the top floor. We had the whole top floor. But they had to use the bathroom up there because the bathroom downstairs was for the people that owned the house. And they had to come upstairs to the bathroom. But we could lock the door, you see, and use the bathroom privately. But they always had to lock our door, you see, so that we couldn't get out if we wanted, if they were in the tub or something. But on rare occasions, you know, you'd throw a towel over your head, and if it was female in the tub, Joe got the towel thrown over him, and I guided him through the bathroom. And if it was a male, then he threw a towel over my head, and he got it through the bathroom so we could go out to dinner or something like that. But you get the idea. But we were, that didn't happen too often because usually they said, I'm coming up for such a bath at such and such a time. There was no such thing as a shower. It was just a tub thing. Anyhow.
That's funny.
When they were through with their baths, we could lock the door and have it practically, but we unlocked it for the night.
Oh, we're having a phone call. Okay.
Well, she'll say who it is.
Okay.
Dodson residence man.
I may or may not have to take it. I'll have them call back if I can. All right. So
620.
I told you about our first thing, and then we got a place with the landlady I've just told you about. Then we finally took this place about 10 miles from the base, and it was a summer cottage, and they were renting them to the Navy people that were pouring in. So we got a nice one on the beach. The beach was below us a lot. We were kind of well above it. But one of the things I had fun doing there was getting the collecting.
Yes, very nice.
Oh, I can't think what they were called now. But they were centuries old of fossils.
Oh, petrified rocks?
Petrified what?
Petrified rocks?
Yes.
No, they were petrified fish.
Oh, okay. Mm-hmm.
But they were great big fish.
Oh, interesting.
But the thing's really about putting your fingers together, making a circle. It was
Okay.
big. We got 'em. But they were being washed away from the cliffs, you see, that we were on. And you'd find them on the beach then after a good rain or something like that, or if the waves had been high on Chesapeake Bay and washed it away. So it was interesting. I had quite a collection of them. I still have it.
And you still have them?
Yes. I gave some to one of my sitters that I'm fond of, and she had a few. She had a few little shells on her table, and when I visited her one time, and I thought, well, if she liked the shells, she would like these others, and she was just ecstatic with what I gave her, at least a half a dozen of them, and she appreciated it very much. So I still have the others in a jar out there.
So let's fast forward a little bit. Then Granddad went back to sea after that.
No, wait a minute. Sometimes they would send the ships down to Norfolk, Virginia. I would go up to Baltimore, take the night boat down, and be there at the same time Joe would get there.
Oh, nice.
Yes. Then he could come every evening. I gave him the car to keep because I didn't need it. And he'd come every evening then. And then, of course, before he left, he'd bring the car so that I kept it and took him back to the ship. And they practiced all this, the sands, you see, because this is what they were going to do when they went to Japan. As it turned out, they didn't have to do it, as you know. But they were all prepared for it, and the ships were of some value, even so.
So then Granddad went back out to the sea.
Yes.
And then after that, you guys were in Annapolis.
Yes.
And we talked about that some already.
Yes, we did.
I
just forgot about this little.
Well, I'm glad that you remembered, actually.
Time in between.
So then after the third year in Annapolis, you guys left Annapolis.
Yes, we left Annapolis and went to Norfolk, Virginia. He had 3 assignments while we were in Norfolk, different ships and things. And one time, he was assigned to go down and spend a month at, not Key West, Key West is what I did mean. And so I would drive down, and whoever else was on the ship, if they wanted to ride with me, fine. But I would take, and he would take one time, he took your dad on board the ship down and back. I think he had just recovered from the measles or something.
Oh.
Part of the reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he kept him in the captain's. He was the captain. See, and he actually had 6 of the ships or so, because they were little ones. Maybe even more than that. But anyhow, he had a captain's cabin, and he kept them on that. And now I think that's. And then he finally had the duty of his life. He finally got a destroyer to be skipper of them. Then the war had ended, you see, by then. We were down in Norfolk, and he had 3 duties. One of them was kind of short. I forgot what the first duty was. Can't remember.
But it was short.
Oh, well, that's when he was at the academy. Then he went to a ship down in Norfolk. Yes.
Norfolk. And then so he was the captain of that small ship, and then he became skipper of a destroyer.
Yes. He had 3 different duties down there, but one of them he was on a great big ship, a cruiser.
And
he had an office job there of some kind. He didn't like it very much.
And so you were there in Norfolk with Dad, right?
Yes. And the first house we got was right behind my aunt.
Oh, how fun.
We were on the same level with her, too. She was on the second floor. We were. This was a friend of hers who rented her house out every summer because she went somewhere up north. And so she was able to grab it for me because it was somebody she knew as a friend and assured her that the house would be well cared for and stuff. So that made it. And so I had this house. What?
Don't touch the table, please.
What?
Keep your feet off the table, please. Anyway, so...
Oh, keep my feet.
Yeah. So, anyway, then you were in Norfolk and...
But he was at sea a good bit of the time. But it was nice because I had my aunt and uncle right behind me. And actually, she became very ill. And it was a fatal illness, but she died after I left there. And it was sad because she had cancer. And
How long were you there then?
oh, I think we were in Norfolk something like 4 or 5 years, maybe.
And you moved out of that house next to your aunt, right?
Well, we bought a house.
Oh, you bought one? Okay.
Yes, we bought a house and lived in it and owned it and had several neighbors. We had friends there.
So if you were there in Norfolk for 4 or 5 years, does that mean Uncle Phil was born there?
Does it mean what?
Uncle Phil was born in Norfolk?
Yes, he was born in a hospital there.
Oh, okay. Great. Okay. Meanwhile, Betty had another child, had a child, right?
Who?
Betty?
Betty had a little girl who was a little bit younger than Joseph, but they played together a lot. And if I wanted to, of course, I had 2 children, and she, at this point, had a son.
So Betty had a little girl after Dad.
No, she had a little girl first, and then she had her son.
Right. So after my father was born, Betty had a little girl, and Jane had Skip by that point after my dad was born.
Yes, But your father is older than Skip and older than Betty's little girl.
Okay.
But they were the same age almost completely.
Yeah. And then after that, didn't Martha have a son?
Yes, but we didn't see them. I don't know where they were then, but they were not around us at all.
But Martha had Michael first?
No, she had Jack first, and then Michael, and then she got her daughter.
Okay,
so was named Nancy for me.
So Martha had Jack and Michael, and then after that,
she had a daughter.
Yeah. Then. So then, but after Michael, did Betty have her second son?
I don't know which was. Well, I think yes, but that was after
Nancy Simon or Nancy Smith.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, we're trying to get all the order here, but
no, Nancy was the third one. Martha had 2 boys before she had a girl.
Right. So I'm trying to figure out. So Betty had Anne, right, and then she had
Bill.
Bill. Okay. Is Bill older than Michael? Martha's son, Michael?
I do not know.
Okay.
I think Michael may be older.
Okay. And so then Martha had Nancy, and
that was her last.
And then Jane had
but they had shore duty. He never had sea duty because he became an engineer in a particular kind of flying science.
Yeah. So then Jane had Daly, and then finally you had Phil last, right? Phil was the youngest of all of them? Well, that's something that we'll figure out and discuss in our next segment.
All right.